Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Q&A ahead of game week 22? 22? I don't even know what day it is anymore, what game week. It's been so many game weeks. How do you keep track? It's been ages since I streamed. It's been ages since I streamed with Sam, specifically. And we were talking before, and this is the lowest I've ever seen Sam Bonfield, both in terms of rank and in terms of overall emotions towards the game. Please be nice to her, is the cry. I would ask how you're doing, Sam, but it's not great, is it?
No. No, I was saying to you before, like, so Thursdays, little spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't worked this out by now, but Thursdays are one of my favourite days of the week. I have a nice work day from a scout perspective. We do a lot of our team stuff on a Thursday, which is lovely. I get to see everybody. The day always starts with the FPL pod, which is up there with my favourite bits of content that I do all week. Like, I really love talking with Jules and Kelly. And then I get to finish my day chatting nonsense with you. It's great, right? But honestly, last night, I very, very nearly texted and said, I'm not doing it tomorrow.
I can't believe that.
And that's the first time that's ever happened that I've gone, I can't bring myself to do it. And in part, it's FPL, obviously. Like, it's just like, what you just said, like, you were like, oh, and I've come up all these places and it's looking really great. And like 3 weeks ago, that was me. Like, I'd come up 2 million places and I was thinking, right, we're finally getting somewhere. This is going well. Yep. Like, and then the weekend was not terrible, but this midweek round has been catastrophic. Like, it's a catastrophic nightmare, of all nightmare proportions. And then couple that with, so I'm watching the games, obviously they're all happening, and Lee's getting a load of points, and I'm like, that's fine. I'm delighted for him, genuinely. Like, I want him to do well, so I'm pleased. But every time, like, Guimaraes or Wilson or Semenyo does something, it's tanking my rank. I've got Nico O'Reilly who doesn't start, and I know he's going to come on for a 1 pointer, but it's the hope that kills you, because I've got Mark Gahey sitting in my first sub slot, and it's like, okay, deep breath, carry on. And I was sort of all right with all of this happening, because actually Spurs were still getting a draw. And then Semenyo ruined my night in all aspects, because he's so popular in the game. He tanks your rank when he does anything. Like, it's really painful with Semenyo anything. And it obviously kills off Spurs, who then end up fighting with the fans and all sorts. Like, and I'm just there like, deep breath, carry on. So it's been a disaster. And I said to you, I've got 4 players to play tonight. Most weeks I'd look really positively about that. Most of the time I'd be like, okay, got 4 players to come. Might have been a disaster, but most people have got less players than I have. So here we go. But they're playing each other, these 4. So I've got the double Arsenal defence plus Saka versus Wirtz. The best thing that could happen is that Saka and Wirtz riot and the double clean sheet goes. Like, because the double clean sheet is more popular than Wirtz. So for my rank, the very best thing that can happen is a Liverpool win, but Saka scores. I'm just, yeah.
Well, I've gone from 3 million to 2.1 in 2 weeks, so that's nice.
That is great. Genuinely, like, I'm not one of those content creators that's like wants you to do badly. Like, I genuinely want you to do well. So like really good. But I knew you were having a good week, and then I thought, oh God, he's gonna have a good week, so he's gonna be happy.
Well, the only reason I've had a good week the last 2 weeks is because I kept Thiago and everyone sold him. That's the only thing. 5 goals in 2 games, and I was actually cursing keeping him a couple of weeks ago, because I can't remember if we did the Q&A or I did a stream where I was like, oh, I should have got rid of him. I should have done the Ekitike, Thiago to Ekitike move and all that. And I didn't. I kept him because I was like, well, he's still on penalties and Brentford look all right. But I was not expecting 5 goals in 2 weeks. Against Sunderland and Everton as well. Like, 2 pretty like defensively good teams, and have been all season.
Well, that's the thing. I told him for Jarrod Bowen, which actually, all in, wasn't the worst Ekitike has been the worst. The ones
Yeah.
that went from Thiago to Ekitike, that's been the worst. Jared Bowen has been a disaster, but nonetheless, you know, at least he's played in all the games and got some DEFCON, and you know, there we are. Got a goal the other week, didn't he? So not terrible, but the selling Thiago, that's painful. Harry Wilson I've wanted for a while, but haven't had enough transfers to go there. So yeah, it's all just a little bit.
But with, you know, problems and pain comes opportunity, and a little birdie tells me that you've pressed a certain button going into this week, which took me by surprise going into this, because we could have done a whole section on it. But are you keeping it, you know, close?
No, I'm not.
No?
I'm not.
Right.
No. I just, to be honest, it's been such a horrible FPL week that I just haven't really wanted to talk about it. So this morning, I didn't even write. So I write the pod script for the official podcast, and didn't even write on there that I'd done it. So I'm writing it in a rage last night, because obviously I have to update it after the game's happened. So I'm doing all this stuff. So we get like 35 minutes into the pod, and I dropped it on Kelly and Jules mid-pod that I'd done this, because Kelly asked me a question about transfers, and I was like, well, and they were like, when we finished recording it, both of them were like, what is going on with you? You never do stuff like this. And I was just like, I'm just so...
reactionary.
I was planning it anyway. So I said in the FPL family live stream on Sunday that I was fairly certain I was going to do it in midweek. I wanted to do it after the weekend round, and I just didn't feel like I could sell players like Jared Bowen ahead of a game against Nottingham Forest. And there were other assets that I had in my team that I thought actually might be all right for this week. So I wanted to hold them for one more week, including Foden against your lot. I was like, oh, I'd like to keep Foden for that one, and then I want to move him on after that. So in my head, I said on the FPL family stream, I was like, unless something massively changes, as in I have the best game week of my life midweek, I'm doing it. Because when I look at the players that I would get this week versus the players that I would get in 24, which is the other moment where I thought I'm going to have to go early with it. That's the reality. I'm having a shocker of a season, so I've got to go early and change some stuff. So it was either going to be now or 24. There's not that much difference between what I would do now and in 24. And the things that I would want to do for 24, like invest in Manchester United and Bruno, I can just leave the money for that, or have a position like, so at the minute I'm keeping Verts for the next couple, depending on what happens tonight. I mean, it might not necessarily be Verts, but I'll keep somebody in that Liverpool team for the next couple of weeks, for Burnley in particular, the weekend when we come back after the FA Cup, and then move him to Bruno with the money in the bank. So I think it feels like a good time. It feels like a needed time, to be honest, as well. I think for me right now, everything feels really meh. And when you've got to talk about FPL constantly for your actual job, that makes it even harder, because there's no escaping it. And I think for me, this is the first time this has happened where I've had just a disaster. And it's like, it gets better for a few weeks, and then it's like back right down again, and we go again, and we get better for a few weeks and back. So this feels like I needed to make a step change. Something had to happen. So yeah, I haven't really told anyone. I dropped into our Slack chat with our patrons this morning and said, oh guys, by the way, just so you know, I hit the Wildcard last night in an absolute rage, and it was in a rage, but there was price changes happening, and I just was like, right, I'm done, let's just do this. So yeah, I'm going to write an article tonight to put out on the Scout website over the weekend about my thought process. And I mean, as we go through this, I'm sure that there's going to be things that come up, and I'll talk about what I've done so far. To be honest, I haven't done a lot so far. I've done just price changes for now. But as we go through, I'm sure there's going to be questions about teams and stuff like that. So we can talk about whether I'm planning to invest in stuff for Wildcard or not.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I've been making notes of some questions as you've been talking, so we can talk about some of that, because I'm interested to know who you're considering, because I think Thiago is a good question. So if we look at FPL Jammer, who says, speaking of nightmares, how does one deal with transferring out and missing Calvert-Lewin's points, or transferring out and missing Thiago's 5 goals in 2 games? So like you did. So we both missed out.
You rage transfer.
Calvert-Lewin is objectively funny though. Like Thiago's annoying. If I'd sold Thiago and he got 5 goals, I'd be raging. Every time Calvert-Lewin scores, I just laugh. Like it's just funny now. because he was so bad. Like I was literally mocked for bringing him in. And then I played him like 6 times. He blanked every time, including the bench boost. I sell him, and he gets 8 goals in 9. That is hilarious. Like, there's no. So, how does one deal with it? You laugh about certain things like that. You can't. The thing is, you deal with it by working out what the best move is going forward. And I guess that's the question for you: is do you bring Thiago back in to your team now, and do you wildcard him back in, or do you tough it out, because the fixtures aren't amazing for Brentford going forward?
No. So right now he's back in.
Yep.
Because he was going up in price last night. So I was like, right, well, if there is any chance that I think I'm going to want Thiago at the back end of this wild card, then I bring him in tonight and it's done. And I've got him, and then we see where we land. But the problem I have is there's actually quite a few forwards I like. Like, obviously, Haaland is kind of locked, and it's a little bit annoying because in the form he's in, if he was like 8 or 9 million and not so heavily owned, I probably would think about just losing him for a few weeks and then maybe going back there, because it does feel like I need to.
Are you not slightly tempted to get rid of him?
No.
Yeah, I guess this is the problem.
It's the ownership, because I
Man
can't.
United and Wolves as well.
I mean, yeah, like the Manchester United derby, like I can't take him out ahead of that. Then it's Wolves, and I just think that you've got to be a very brave person to take out Erling Haaland when he's owned by the amount of managers that he is. Like, at his ownership level, if he scores against United, that's done. The whole season's done then. There's no recovering from that. Like, losing Thiago's 5 goals over the last 2 weeks, there's potentially some recovering from that. But from taking out Haaland, there just wouldn't be. The ownership level is so high now that I'm not even. It's basically picking a 14-man squad is the way I look at it.
There's bigger gains. That's the counter argument, right? At 3 million or whatever, there's bigger gains to be made, and we're sort of running out of. We're not running out of weeks. There's still a long time to go, but at some point, it might make sense to do something bold like that. Maximize risk.
I think if Salah comes back from AFCON and isn't whinging and moaning and complaining and is back in the team and things look better, then maybe there's a moment in a month's time where it makes sense to do it and to take a risk with it. But right now, with the 2 fixtures that they have coming up, it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. And the good thing about Haaland is that you can go anywhere from him because he's the most expensive. So if I have him there, and if I decide I want to take the risk in 3 or 4 or 5 weeks' time, it's very easy for me to do that.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't take him out this week. I was just sort of being devil's advocate. I think against Man United and Wolves, would it surprise anyone if he got back-to-back hat-tricks in those 2 games? I know Wolves have been a bit better, but still. Look at disaster Wolves. Don't listen to us at all. We'll tell you to sell Haaland. You need points. You need to be different. I wasn't saying to sell Haaland. I was just saying,
I think
if you want big rises, you need to take bigger risks.
I think there's a middle ground between what you two are both saying here, because you are right. You do have to take some risks. You do have to think a bit differently. But what I can't remember what the handle was, but what the chap was just saying is also correct. Like, there has to be a risk and reward balance here. So for me on Wildcard, I'm going to have a spine of really important players that are heavily owned that are going to reduce the risk to pain. That's really important. So that will happen, and that includes Haaland. The ones around the edges, they'll be different, and they will be players that are like, I am probably going to take a punt on a Chelsea attacker, because it makes sense with the fixtures that they have coming up. Now, it is punty because obviously the new manager's just arriving. I'm going to have a game against Charlton to work out which one.
Is it not? You're not just going straight to Palmer?
That's a sensible play. I am, and I was having this conversation in our team call earlier with Tom and Lewis, FPL Reactions, and I think I really want to go Delap on this wild card, because I think the relationship that he has with the manager from their time at Hull might just be the one. And I know it wasn't him in the dugout last night, but let's be frank, he's had an input into that team that played last night, and he's chosen to start with Delap over Pedro. I am really tempted, and I think it's players like that that might just be the difference makers for me moving forward. Now, I might get it totally wrong, and that's the risk that comes with it. But I think that is the only way that I'm going to change where I am right now.
Interesting. Okay. Pajita says, can't be mad about FPL when there's matches like Man City Brighton where City should have scored like 4 or 5 goals, and Burnley Man United where Burnley scored 2 goals with 1
I wasn't
chance.
watching that though, was I? I was watching Spurs.
Oh, poor.
So, you know.
Poor you. I was watching the Man City Brighton game, and it was a funny game because I thought Brighton played quite well, but could have lost like 6-0.
Yeah.
So you can't really. It's hard to say they played well when that happened, but we had good chances as well. I mean, Gomez missed an absolute sitter. I don't know what, he couldn't sort his feet out and should have scored. Yeah. And yeah, we could have lost that game heavily. The draw was probably about right on reflection. The Man United Burnley game was hilarious though.
That was a madness.
The amount of shots Man United had in that game, and wonder goal from Anthony, and
feel a little bit hard done by Dorgu not getting more than he did, to be honest.
I know, but at least he did pop up with the assist.
At least he got me an assist.
A few people mentioning Bruno. I was hoping they would when I started talking about Man U. Ziegel says Bruno back and looking good, but he says Bruno did more in 60 minutes than other midfielders in the last 5 game weeks.
Yep.
Is Bruno coming in?
Next 2 fixtures are difficult, and this is why the 24 wildcard is on most normal people's minds, because it gets you past the Derby and the Arsenal game. Bruno, I think, is in many ways fixture proof, so absolutely he is on radar. My current plan, as I mentioned before, is to leave a space for him for 24, roll transfer through game week 23, and then have 2 transfers going into 24, one of which would be to sell whichever Liverpool midfielder I end up with, probably, for Bruno. But there is a part of me that just thinks, we know what Bruno can do. He could easily score, and particularly that Manchester City defence are not solid. They are conceding goals. Arsenal have a solid defence usually, but again, they have been conceding goals over recent weeks. So maybe actually the answer is to just go back to Bruno straight away. And it was a pre-planned sub at 60 minutes, as we were told at the end of the game by Fletcher. So I agree with everything that's just been said. I think he did do more in 60 minutes than we've seen from other midfielders, some of them arguably over the whole season. So yeah, definitely on radar. It's just a decision to be made still as to whether it's now or in 2 weeks' time.
Yep. I like Bruno. I think against City at home, with City with like Diaz out, Vardiol out, I think Man United can get at them. I don't think Man United's ability to score goals is really being questioned, because
no.
I think with the new, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer comes in, or Carrick or Fletcher or whoever, they're going to want to play on the front foot. Yep. And they've obviously got the players that can hurt. It's just Man City can do a lot of damage, obviously, on the other end. I think you would think that's going to be a fairly high scoring game, that Manchester derby. So I would
expect so.
Yeah, I think I'll probably go there. I mean, V Master says, what about Cunha replacements? And
Bruno.
Well, this is the transfer I'm thinking of making this week, because Cunha's been, I mean, he's got me 1 goal. It's fine, but it's not amazing. And now he loses penalties. It's a funny one, because you could argue he's slightly better with Bruno back, because obviously the link up play and everything, but he has been really poor. Would you give Cunha 1 more week, or would you look to move him out for Bruno? I mean, I'm thinking of moving him for Rice, because obviously Rice has got Forest, good fixture. I don't think I want Cunha long term. Maybe that's just the play I do.
I would not hesitate to sell Cunha.
Yeah.
Ahead of the next 2. I would not hesitate. Bruno, if you want to go there, Rice, if you want to go there, both good options. But I would not. I don't see any value in holding Cunha for the next 2 weeks.
Nah, it's a shame, because he had a 3-week run of just the 3 great looking fixtures on paper, and just to deliver 1 goal is really disappointing. I really thought against Burnley he could get something in that game, and yeah, it just didn't really look that likely. Who would your top Cunha replacements be then? Let's say for around the same price. Let's say 8.1. So that rules out Bruno.
So we're ruling out Bruno, then Rice. I think Rice is the best pick.
Rice, Bruno, G, Rogers.
Yeah, Bruno G's got to be in the conversation, hasn't he? I mean, despite the fact that it's like night and day between his home and away form, and he doesn't. I mean, yesterday's a bit lucky, isn't it? Because the reality of him taking that penalty, he doesn't take that penalty if it happens 25 minutes earlier on in the game. Like,
Gordon's curse this season, I tell you. It's absolutely good. He just keeps getting subbed before penalties take place.
And it's so so my son Max, he captained Gordon this week.
Oh no!
And So the only it was full of woe in our house last night, I tell you, because obviously his FPL team is just in the mud because he's captained Gordon. So when they got the penalty, he was like, we weren't watching that game after Spurs. We turned it off and watched Traitors. So we were like, he goes to me, Newcastle have got a penalty, mum. Will Gordon take it? I was like, if he's still on the pitch. And then he looked on like SofaScore and he was like, "Oh, he's gone off, mum." And I was like, "Oh God."
Well, I don't think he's going to take it then, Max.
No,
Not gonna
Matt,
lie.
sorry, dude. It's not good. He was like, "Mum, I might have to rage quit." I was like, "No, come on, we'll recover together." But yeah, real
Respectfully, I
frustrating.
wish nothing but misery for Max in FPL. He was so horrible to me last year with Chris Wood scoring every week.
I mean, you did deserve it.
Yeah, well, do you know what? His suffering, just means I'm as a perfect counterbalance. The more miserable he is with FPL, the happier I am. So he's like my counterweight. I can tell him that.
I will tell him that when I see him. He'll be delighted, I'm sure.
Aaron Chen says, "Is Everton defence a must?" I bought in Tarkowski this week, got rid of Lacroix, who I've kept for bloody ages. That went well. 8 points for Lacroix, 4 points for Tarkowski in what I thought was an absolute locked-on clean sheet in DEFCON. It shows you can never be sure of anything in this. Do I regret that move? Yeah, probably. The fixtures turn a bit rough for Everton now. Keane's now is Keane suspended?
Yeah, 3 games.
It's a 3-game ban. Wow.
So one of them's the FA Cup, but obviously then he'll go on to miss 22 and 23.
What do you think of that red card? There's quite a lot of controversy about it. I think it's.
I don't see why he's pulled his hair.
Me neither.
Like, that is violent. If someone came up to me and grabbed me by the ponytail and pulled me down the street, that would be assault.
I'm really surprised with the outcry.
I don't get it. Even David Moyes was trying to say that it's nothing, and I'm just like, no, it's just not good. That is actually violent.
I think Sean Dyche, wasn't he? Was like, it's fine. It's just fine to do that.
I don't know why I said David Moyes. Yeah, Sean Dyche. Yeah.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's getting involved. Would you buy Everton defenders now? Pickford, Tarkowski? I regret it. Let's put it that way. I wish I just held the transfer and not bothered.
I no longer think that they're a priority buy, but I also am not sure that they're a priority sell either.
Villa away, Leeds at home, Brighton away, Fulham away, Bournemouth at home, United at home. It's not terrible, but it's not great. I would expect Tarkowski to get DEFCON in pretty much all those games.
I would too. So I think you're basically starting on 4, and it's just if there's any upside,
which is
isn't
nice.
It? Yeah.
But would I be using transfers to do? I mean, if you let's take Keane for example. I mean, if you had Keane, obviously you'd be looking to sell.
Yep.
Would you be moving him to Tarkowski if you had the money, or would you be looking at another defender?
I'll be looking at another defender.
Yeah,
Just
so
put it this way: on Wildcard,
it.
I'm not getting an Everton defender.
No, that's it. Then I guess that's the answer to the question. Is Everton defence a must? It's not. I don't think it is.
Yeah.
Who would you be looking at? I mean, Chalobah looks good at 5.5.
Chalobah's in my draft at the minute.
There you go.
I'm torn between whether to go Chalobah in or whether to go Sanchez in goal, because Sanchez is obviously that bit cheaper than Chalobah, so it offers a bit of a easier route to people like Bruno Fernandes if I go for Sanchez in goal and cover the Chelsea defence that way. But yeah, I think if I had Michael Keane. So when you look at the fixture ticker, Chelsea are top over the next 5. Crystal Palace are up there, despite the fact that actually I know they got a clean sheet this week, but they haven't been defensively that solid. Everton do still remain. They are still high on the fixture ticker, to be fair, but I don't really fancy that. Bournemouth are up there, but again, I don't really trust them. West Ham, definitely don't go there. Brighton are quite high on the fixture ticker, to be fair, defensively over the next few weeks. So you could go for a bit of a Van Heck love, maybe.
Yeah, I think there's pretty good options. I think I'd be looking at that Chelsea run of fixtures and thinking, if I'm going to invest in defence now and make a move, that's probably the one that I'd go for. Aaron Chen, is O'Reilly a keep or time to twist?
I'm selling. There's too many problems in that back line. They've got too many people out. They're not keeping enough clean sheets, and he's not, having had all of that attacking threat that we saw earlier on in the season. He's not really had that recently, so he's going to be a player that goes for me on Wildcard for sure. In fact, at the minute, I took him out for Chalobah.
Would you sell him would you use a transfer on selling him?
I think likely you've probably got bigger fish to fry with your
I
transfers
would
than
have thought
selling
so.
him. But if your team's looking great and you're thinking about other stuff, then he could
I think
definitely be one.
I think you keep him for Wolves, and then you sell after that. Then it's Spurs away, Liverpool away, and then you've probably got Aït-Nouri coming back around then as well.
That's true. Yeah.
Maybe bench him against United if you can, and then play him against Wolves. Probably my suggestion, but you probably want to be looking to get rid of at some point.
Yeah.
I think. Mike Parsons, hi Samaz. To sort my team, I'll need to take at least a -12. Should I wildcard? Thank you. At what stage of hits do you think the wildcard needs to be? I have taken a -12 once. I took a -12 so I could get Gareth Bale
Oh,
back when he was at Spurs years and years and years ago.
Back or
No, before that, even before that, I remember I took a -12 and he was part of the hit, and he blanked. I'm pretty sure he blanked. So the -12 did not pay off in that week. Would I take a -12 again? I don't think I ever would take a -12 again. And I think if you're debating a -12 or -16, you've got the wild card available to you, and the price rises how they are at the moment with so many people going up. I think I would probably pull the trigger.
So my general philosophy with the wild card is, if you look at your team and think there's 5 players that I really dislike in this team and I want rid of, that is the moment to hit the button. So last night and at the weekend, I was looking at my team and I was thinking I was about 20. Well, I mean, it's a team of 15. There's about 20 of them I want to get rid of. But I would not be taking a -12. I think if you're at the point where you're looking at a -12, use the wild card, because the wild card is there to set you up for a fair few weeks. So you would think that if you can use a wild card and it gets you six game weeks down the line before you have to do many other things, you can then save up a bank of transfers. And because we can get to 5, we can effectively build up a second bank of like a mini wild card anyway, that you can use in and around the blanks and the doubles and all of that jazz that you might need it for. So if you're at a point where you're thinking about the -12, in my view, there will also be other things that you can fix, like the injured Josh King on my bench, Mark Guiu and his lack of turning up for anything, it seems, with Guiu since and that's fine, because I went into the Guiu thing with my eyes wide open, knowing he wasn't going to get any minutes. Yeah. But since we've been there, we've had the arrival of Mane. We've had, if Semenyo does go, as it's looking increasingly likely, the increased opportunity for Krupa Junior minutes, and they're not that much more expensive. So if you're at a -12 to just fix your team, hit the wild card, because you can fix everything then, and it's setting you up for the future, is my view.
CH talking about Semenyo. Can someone explain to me, like I'm 5, why you don't want Semenyo as a City player? Come on, you've had 2 5-year-olds. I've had 0. So you're probably better at explaining things to people like they're 5.
I think the problem with Manchester City is that it puts him into the rotation pool, and at Bournemouth he is like the big fish in the pond, right? He is the one that, if they're scoring goals, if they're creating stuff, you expect him to be part of that, and really important. When you take a player from a smaller, sorry, Bournemouth fans, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but from a smaller club and put them into a big club, to a certain extent, like with Eze at Arsenal, you see this where they're no longer this big, all-important person. They're just one of the team. And they therefore fit into a rotation pool. And even if they are starting, they're not necessarily the ones that are getting all the returns all of the time in the same way, because they won't have as much time on the ball. They'll be sharing minutes and they'll be sharing possession. So that's why I think the majority of people are concerned about it. Now, it might be that we're entirely wrong about that, and that he'll go to Manchester City, he'll immediately start, he'll play 90 minutes every week, he'll be the one that's, buzzing around, putting the crosses in, he'll be the one that's important to own. But we just don't know that. And that's not how it's been with Pep before. And that's not what we've also seen with other big money moves in the Premier League so far this season. So for me, that is why I'm not keen on having Semenyo as a Man City player.
We want to see where he's lined up to be played, because if he's going to form part of the left wing and he's going to be competing against Foden, Doku, Marmoush, he's just a complete non-option. I think surely the obvious thing for him is to play on the right. And I mean, who's his competition on the right? Semenyo, who's injured, and Bernardo, who I think should have been dropped ages ago.
Years ago.
I think he plays 90 minutes almost every game, and I just don't think he's anywhere near the level of some of the other players in that team. So if Semenyo comes in and plays on the right...
But will he play right?
Well, this is it. We don't know. This is why you don't buy him at the moment, because
he's kind of got free reign at Bournemouth. Go where you want, do what you want, and that's why we like Semenyo, and that's why Semenyo has so many routes to points, because he's got this free reign. Go for it. Off you go. Be on the right when you want. Be on the left when you want. Be through the middle when you want. Be in the box when you want. Like, Iraola is not telling him, where he's got to be. If Pep tries to put him just solely on the right...
Well, Pep also has had history with certain players, like Grealish, like Mahrez, of not fully trusting them. I mean, Grealish was a bit of an exception that treble season, but look what he did to him. Made him pass backwards every time. And Mahrez was his, wildcard option, but never really got consecutive starts because he favours control. He always favours control, and that's why he likes Bernardo, because Bernardo is his man. He's his control man who can play around. Semenyo's a very, very it doesn't take a genius to know that Semenyo's a very different player to Bernardo is. So I have a feeling Semenyo's going to be used initially as an impact sub when they need a bit of extra energy. They need something a bit different and freshen up, and he'll probably stick with Bernardo in the immediate term.
And also we have to remember that Pep is trying, and it's being harmed at every step, to win multiple competitions this year in what's likely to be his last season in the Premier League. So he'll want to go out on a high, still in most of the competitions. So there's going to be rotation. Now, where and when Semenyo plays will also be of interest. Is he going to be used like we see sometimes with players just playing in the Champions League? Is he going to be used just playing in the cup games? Is he going to be used in the Premier? All of this is really unknown. It's really unknown.
Question.
Yep.
I think we both agree you don't buy him. You're not going to pick him on a wild card. You wouldn't be buying him at this stage. So I think that answers CH's question. But would you sell him? If you had him, would you sell him?
Well, so some people might be in this position as, because if you've already got your 3 City assets in, if you've got O'Reilly, Foden and Haaland already, and then Semenyo rolls up and you've got 4 City assets, you will be forced to sell one of them. So the question then is, which one do you sell? Is it Semenyo that you sell, or is it a Nico O'Reilly? Is it a Foden instead?
Well, Bobby Boy asks, should I sell Foden this week as he's likely to drop in price? Other options open to me are Fernandes, Palmer, or maybe Semenyo. So Bobby Boy is considering a Foden to Semenyo switch anyway. Some people might have 4 and be forced to sell one. And I think a lot of people are looking at Foden thinking it's 5 blanks in a row?
5 in a row.
5 in a row. It's just the fact he's got Man U and Wolves next, isn't it? That's the only thing I think. But the problem is, if it was a tougher run, he'd be out of everyone's team.
But he's had a nice run going up to this point and hasn't returned over the last 5 weeks. So
I'm guessing he's not in your wildcard team. No,
he went last night.
No,
straight away.
I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah. And of those options, Fernandes would be my top pick of those 3. Palmer, I think, is a good pick. There is no doubt that Palmer is a good pick. He's that bit more expensive, but he's on pens. I think where he chooses, and this is the slight problem, it's where is he going to play? Are we seeing Enzo in the 10? If we're seeing Enzo in the 10, is he going to have reduced minutes? What does that mean for who's playing up top? Where's Palmer in all of this? There is a little bit of, as always when there's a new manager, a little bit of uncertainty around it, but I still think Palmer is a fantastic pick, now fit and available again. So, but both of those 2 would be higher on my priority buy list than Semenyo. It would be very different if Semenyo was staying at Bournemouth, or if Semenyo was going to somewhere like, either of our 2 clubs, because you'd know he'd just walk straight into the starting 11 and start in the first game available. But with Man City, we just don't have that luxury of knowing that. It's the same way we weren't all in on Eze at the beginning when he first went to Arsenal, because we just didn't know what was going to happen. I
feel for you on a wild card with what to do with him, but I have absolutely no desire to sell him ahead of Man United and Wolves. None. 0. I just think those 2 games are there's such high potential of big hauls in those games for City. I mean, are you going to have another City player? You're going to have like a Cherky or
nope.
Just the one? See, that would worry me.
No,
that would worry me.
But this is where I think you have to take a bit of an educated gamble, because The reality is in that Man City team that we've seen some rotation in midweek already. Obviously, there'll be big rotation in the FA Cup. And then we'll see some rotation probably in and around the Champions League when that starts again, which again happens quickly after the FA Cup weekend. The honest truth is that we could see returns from Cherki, Doku, Foden, Semenyo when there's like it could be spread around. I would expect Haaland to be involved. He's the one I would expect because he's the number 9. But everyone else, Bernardo Silva, he's still there, could easily be. Do you know what I mean? Like picking the right Man City midfielder has always been a minefield. And apart from in the days when we had Kevin, when we had De Bruyne, it was like, right, well, we just get De Bruyne and Haaland.
Kevin's still there.
We're fine. Yeah, you know what I mean. But when we had De Bruyne, we could be fairly confident. Whereas with Foden, we've said for years he's a purple patch player, and when he's out of the purple patch, you just get rid. So yeah, I'm just gonna have the one Man City player, and that feels okay.
I have such good memories about Foden versus Man United.
No,
hat tricks and goals and.
Well, I hope for your sake that they come off.
No, you don't.
I do. I want you to do well because that will make this somebody's got to be doing well.
I appreciate that, but there is no way that having sold Foden on your wildcard, you want him to hit a hat trick against Man U.
I mean,
that's fine.
No, I don't want him to hit a hat trick, but I also don't. I'm not convinced that he will.
No. Okay.
I just think the form's gone.
If I was wildcarding, I wouldn't have him. No, I agree with you, but I also have no desire to use a transfer and get rid of him ahead of those.
I also games. Understand that. Yeah, I understand that.
I will definitely be getting rid of him a pass unless he gets back-to-back brace or something. I would say I'm very likely to sell him ahead of those 2 away games against Liverpool and Spurs. Although Spurs away, is that even tough? Is that even tough?
Who even knows where we're going to be by that point? To be honest.
Oh God, Frank and the Arsenal mug, by the way, is hilarious. Like it's absolutely hilarious. Someone has mugged him off. Literally, royally.
Apparently, Arsenal left them in the away dressing room the other week. But even if that's the case, why are you making a drink in it?
Why is no one saying to him, Thomas?
Why is he not?
Probably not a great look.
Look, I'm not being funny. Sure, why is somebody not saying that? But he's got eyes. Look, like when somebody hands you a drink. Have you ever been out and someone's handed you a drink and you've just drunk it without looking at it?
I find it so hard to know what's AI and what isn't anymore.
No, it's real.
I know. I saw that picture and I thought, oh, someone's trying to do him over it. And then it was real. And I was like, oh my God. It's ridiculous. And then he asked about it in the press conference. I was like, oh my God.
But you can't, don't be a mug, Thomas. Like, things are bad enough as it is. I know. It's bad enough there. Don't drink out of an Arsenal cup.
There used to be a mug here from a fantasy football scout competitor, should we say.
Okay.
Imagine if I turned up to this Q&A and I was drinking from that on the stream.
But that's the same thing, right? But on a lesser scale, because we're only going out to how many people? That picture is now around the world. Like even the Spurs fans that were still on board, like me, are looking at him going, "You're making my life really difficult here, Thomas. Really difficult because I'm backing you, despite all of the nonsense." And you walk out onto that pitch all smiling and holding an Arsenal cup, and then we throw away a lead and lose a game. Are you joking?
It's bad because it's just like a naivety about the job and the role, isn't it? Like that kind of scrutiny doesn't happen at Brentford. Like if he had an Arsenal mug at Brentford, you could laugh it off. But you're when Spurs are doing badly, all eyes are on him. You can't.
But even if we were winning the league. Yeah. You couldn't walk out as a Spurs manager holding an Arsenal cup. Yeah. So even if the best case scenario, we were 20 points clear at the top of the Premier League, he still can't go out drinking from an Arsenal
Imagine
mug.
Eddie Howe drinking out of like a Sunderland mug or something like that.
The same thing. It is exactly the same thing. Imagine giving Pep a Manchester United mug. Like, no, it just won't happen. Like, even you wouldn't see Arteta with the Spurs cup. So don't just... Somebody tell him. Why has nobody realised it? Oh, anyway,
it's quite rare for anyone associated with Spurs to be holding a cup.
I know, especially
that joke doesn't really work so well now.
We have won one.
Yeah, it doesn't really work so well anymore.
Hang on, let's remember a good time. Look, here we go. Look, there was good days.
Yeah, lovely Brennan Johnson winning you the cup, who then gets immediately sold at the first opportunity. Yeah.
Man holding the trophy, and don't we need him now?
Now Kudus
is out till after the international break. Can you play right wing? Do you want to sign for Spurs?
Yeah, why not?
Bruce could go on the loose down the right wing.
Bruce on the loose. Alien says, is Morgan Gibbs-White a good differential pick with good underlying data as a Cunha replacement? I think our size say it all, don't they?
Morgan Gibbs-White was my pod differential last week. So actually, from that perspective, it did work well. The issue I have with Forest is that, they're not going to play West Ham every week. That's one. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. No, gone. Absolutely fine. No issues at all. Sam just disappears. I don't like the Gibbs-White pick. I mean, I had him early in the season, so I'm a bit biased. I mean, he is only 3% owned and he is on penalties now. So he's not horrendous. But when you look at the fixtures, Arsenal, Brentford, Palace, Leeds away. That's the key one. Wolves at home, that looks good in 26. Then you've got Liverpool, Brighton, Man City. I don't like any of those fixtures for Forest. And I've got Elliot Anderson this week, 5.3, because I'm just looking at it and thinking he's going to get 4 points every week. Like he makes so many. It's going to be rarer for him to not hit DEFCON than him to get it. So I would just go Anderson and just take the 2 money and use that to strengthen your defense or your attack or something like that. Because he's low owned as well. I would just pick Anderson over Gibbs-White. Sam's gone. Don't know where. It's fine. We were going to be ending soon anyway, so it's fine. Brett Dog says, wouldn't sell Foden in the next 2. Enzo, number 1 asset worth setting up for Chelsea fixtures. Again, though, we don't know what Enzo's role was going to be, do we? Like, if he's playing really deep lying and he's not on penalties, I don't think he is a particularly great option. I think you can afford to wait. The fixtures do turn nice from now, but I don't think I'd be going for Enzo right now. Wait and see. I just think wait and see with Chelsea is the approach. Unless you're on a wild card, then I can see the temptation to go over Palmer or a Delap. That was a surprising name from Sam. Oh, I hope he doesn't do terribly for her if she goes for him, because that is a brave decision. I wouldn't pick Delap, but hey, that's just me. I will take one more question. Oh, Nikolai says played 10 last night. Yeah, I guess how much of say has Rosenior had on that? If he's going to play at 10, then he's a good pick, isn't he? So, yeah, maybe just wait and see. Final question. Oh, from Rick Star, thank you. Do you like Saka to Rice? Oh, Saka's been really disappointing, hasn't he? I think the fact that he can now be subbed and he can now miss minutes, I think massively dents his appeal. He's taken off some of the penalties as well, because he's handing some to Gyökeres and things like that. I think there is a real case to be made, but I also think he's a really good differential still. He's only still 20% owned. And I do think at some point he is going to have that game where he hits a big haul. The underlying data is really good. Like consistently, whenever he plays, it's always some of the best in the league. I like the idea of having Gabriel Rice and Saka. They are the best team in the league, I think, by quite a distance, and I think they could be 8 points clear today. And when you've got a team just so in the ascendancy like that, you want to get the 3 best players from that team. And I think that still is Saka, Rice and Timber. So I don't hate it. If you're doing Saka down and then you're upgrading, someone like a Minter up to like a 9 million, like a Fernandes or something like that, I totally get it. But I think there are better moves you can be making personally than getting rid of Saka ahead of the run they've got. I just think he's just an elite player who's eventually going to start performing well again, and yeah, I have no desire to sell him anytime soon. Don't know where Sam's gone. She says she can still hear and see me, but I think we'll call it there. So thank you all very much for joining us. See you next week. Hopefully Sam will be on a healthy green. Oh no, she won't be because there's no games at the weekend, is there? She will not be on a healthy green arrow unless there is a miracle and Wirtz and Saka go absolutely crazy today. I think she will be on a red, which is a shame. But yeah, hopefully her season can turn around soon. Mine exactly hasn't gone mad. I've just gone up a bit lately. Let's hope I can continue on that. Hopefully you're all on a decent green arrow this week. And we will see you all next time.